That might give you a hint.
Basically, you have enough visual clues that I'm leaving it up to you guys to kind of figure it out, unless you have specific questions for me.
I'm getting thoroughly distracted by certain things today, guys. I'm sorry.
That's
Usually
okay.
my family leaves me alone on these days, but
oh, I should point out one other thing too. So let's see. So if you're looking at the map, the overlaying map, right as the sun sets tonight, you kind of see not quite the same gem-like reflection that you saw initially, but you can see that there is some kind of light source along this path now, seeming to come from behind this low set of hills. So switching over to the zoom map, so you can see there's a set of hills right up here. So along this line behind those hills, there seems to be something reflecting sunlight quite brightly. And as the sun disappears, the background radiance also disappears.
Yeah, if I was to guess, you know, has anybody ever seen any of those building with a dome top where like they're coating in like either gold paint or gold leafing?
Okay.
Does the obelisk go ahead?
Is the direction of the glint roughly in line with the direction of the path?
Roughly, yes, but if you're looking at my shared screen, you can see, so there's one set of mountains up here.
Yep.
They're not mountains, they're tall dunes, honestly. And another set.
Yeah.
And the path pretty much
with a gap between them.
Yep, the path pretty much seems to lead between them.
Okay, so that's what I was thinking. I'm thinking that it's possible that this glint is near the path as it goes off in that direction, because we don't know how much turning the path does. It could turn slightly more north to end at that glint.
And I had thought I overheard you say that the obelisk or whatever it is has fallen in a possible direction. Did I overhear that? That's when I was getting distracted.
I think we were discussing that. So the obelisk is very definitely off of the caravan path.
I wouldn't say very definitely, no. It seems like it crossed right over it. And I'm just realizing one small caveat in the visual clues that may not be clear, or probably is not clear. In the inscription that's on the obelisk, the first line seems to be referring to the right, whereas the bottom line is more referring to the left.
Does there seem to be any correlation to where does the tip of the obelisk seem to point to anything on the horizon or any sort of landmark?
No, the tip of the obelisk, based on the direction that you're facing, so you're facing north and you're looking at it and it's pointing kind of southwest. It's actually pointing towards where you saw the turtle come from.
Okay, you said the first half, the upper half, is pointing in which is indicating which direction on the obelisk.
So if you were looking at it directly head on, the top line has an indicator pointing to the right. The bottom line has an indicator pointing to the left.
Okay. So let's see that translation.
Like
Yep.
so. If you open up the signpost inscription.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, I see the blue lines you added. I was just about to do the same, but you're quicker than me.
Well,
Okay.
the question we need to be asking ourselves is, do you want to head towards civilization, get more supplied if you think we need more supplies, or do you want to head in a direction where we may be heading towards ruins before we go to civilization?
With that said, so have we figured out, or have we discussed that with those directional arrows though, it's
Okay,
actually directing us to two different things. One could be the gates of Sewell, and then the other way could be the second
Neither
two
is
lines.
the gates of Sewell. The gates of Sewell are not mentioned on this signpost. The upper one is pointing us to the Garden of Pizar,
Okay.
and the lower one is pointing us to Tubikar, the
Tribacar, yeah.
yeah, something about keeper. Yeah, the upper one is the garden site of Pizar. The lower one is Tubikar, keeper of the pyramid.
Okay, which Tribacar is on our original piece of map that includes the crypt,
So is
the
Pizar.
sacred pool.
I think they both are.
Okay.
They both are.
Oh,
Okay,
Pizar.
question for you.
Okay, you gotcha.
Question for you: if we stand the way the obelisk is currently situated, if we stand so that we are facing the signpost, does either direction correspond at all with the paths that we found?
The
The path to the
Top-
shiny.
the top line, so if you're facing the obelisk now the way it's lining, the top
Mhm.
line kind of points towards, I mean, it's kind of pointing up, and the left line is kind of pointing down. But if you're really looking at it based on the way that the obelisk has fallen, the top line is pointing in line with the northeast one, but the bottom one does not line up with the northwest. It's actually pointing toward in the same direction as the obelisk, towards where the tortoise was.
Well, if it helps even more, if we look at the song, it talks about the pharaohs of old. So basically, would that mean we're going to want to go direction of the pyramids? First, being that the first line of the song. If that helps anyone.
Yeah, I'm just trying to scroll back and see the
Okay,
song
pharaohs
while
of
we're
old
discussing it.
buried their gold hidden beneath the sky. Here lies the road of the kings to the garden site of Pizar.
I like the thought process for sure. That sounds like the most logical to me so far.
The only reason why I draw attention to the song is because basically the song really captured us while we were, like, the song singled us out while we was in the tavern doing it. Like, pulled us in. But what do I know? I'm just a cat. Meow.
Your universal failover, Ant. When in doubt, meow.
I'm thinking that if we want to know, I'm thinking that if we want to know which direction belongs to which destination, we need to dig out this obelisk and figure out how it used to stand. Or we can just pick a direction.
So big question is did it fall over because it was loose in the sand, or did it have a base? I guess we won't find out either until we start digging. So I'm up with that. I'm up for that. I start digging at the base to see if there's a base.
Okay. Let's dig.
So you helping out with that?
I probably start creating a hole, and he sniffs at the hole and takes a kitty poop.
I mean, I've got a shovel. I've got if that will help.
I'll help with the digging. I'm used to burying my business, so I'll get stuck in there.
I don't really have anything that can help with that.
We can take turns using the shovel.
I was going to say, I don't even have a shovel or anything.
Do you have any
Fortunately, the
arcane
sand
weed
is
abilities?
loose. The sand is loose, so you don't necessarily need dedicated digging tools. Obviously, you don't want to be sand with just your hands, but you can probably come up with some kind of improvised tools.
I could start by just looking at the base of the existing obelisk and see if it looks broken.
Well, that's buried in the sand. We'd still have to dig to find that.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
So, and honestly, we don't need dedicated digging tools. Dishes, plates and cups and bowls make decent digging tools if what you're trying to dig through is loose.
I should clarify something, which probably would be very obvious. So if you're looking at my shared screen on in Zoom, and you're looking at the words that are on the plaque here, the words read from, or the symbols read from left to right, going from bottom to top. So this is on its side. You're not reading the lines across this way. The lines.
Right. It is lying down on its side.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I got that.
So that should, whether it's accurate or not is up to you guys to decide, but that should be a pretty obvious clue if you're trying to figure out its orientation.
Right. So if we were to stand, just doing this exercise in our heads before we actually get very far with the digging, if we were to simply stand it upright, would either of the pointers line up?
Well, again, it depends on how you stand it upright, but yeah, I guess if you're going
orientation,
if you bring
other
it,
than to
go ahead, finish your thought, Alex.
Yeah, without changing its orientation, other than to set it vertical, which way do the indicators on it point?
At that point, you are looking at roughly the right line pointing to the northeast, and not as much so the left line pointing to the northwest.
Oh, okay. So that's kind of what I thought your answer was earlier. You were saying as it lies, this is where they point. Not that if we were to try to orient it,
if we were to stand it
how
up,
it originally was, correct, yeah.
The question I asked was not actually the question I intended to ask. The question I intended to ask was, if we were to stand it upright without otherwise changing its orientation, which way would they point? And that is not the question that I originally asked.
That was my assumption. Yep, I agree.
Okay, so you said the left one points northeast.
The right one points northeast, the left one points northwest.
Wow, okay.
And how are those as far as top to bottom lines?
If you stand it up, then yeah, you're reading it laterally, not vertically.
Right, but the top line is the left and the bottom line is the right.
No, the
correct?
top line is still to the right, bottom line is still to
Okay.
the left.
That's my fault. I should be writing all this down, and I'm not.
Basically, if you stand it up without moving, without changing the orientation, the plaque is facing to the south.
Okay. I don't know if you guys can see it because I can only sort of see it, but I can't change the color of the drawing tool. Did I accurately label the directions that they point?
On the inscription, right?
Mm-hmm.
These blue lines, yes, you have. These are correct.
Northeast and northwest, I correctly labeled those?
I don't see those. Wait a minute.
They're harder to see because they're black on gray. But you can't change the black to something else.
Yep.
Are you talking on the overland map?
No, on the inscription signpost image.
Yeah, I don't see them at all.
I don't see them at all.
But yes, this one here is pointing basically east, because northeast would be this way. This one is basically pointing west, because northwest would be this way.
Yeah, I'm not sure why the drawing didn't show up. It always has in the past.
New feature?
Bug?
Bug, feature. It's the same thing to a software vendor.
Yeah, I know. I have difficulty keeping left and right and east and west and all these directions in my head, so I need to write them down, and I really need to write them down on the thing. But the drawing tools in this program are distinctly lacking.
So with that being said, are we in agreement that to the right lies the garden site of Pazar, and to the left, Tribacar and the keeper of the pyramid?
All right, can you guys see the text that I added?
Yeah. No, see it clear.
On your screen, yes, not on mine.
Okay, so yeah, apparently our drawing
Oh
tool.
no, I see them on yours now, or I see them on my screen now. Yeah,
Okay.
and they match what I tried to label.
Okay, cool.
Gotcha.
So I did have it right. Okay.
Now
Excellent.
keep in mind, this screen that you're looking at, I'm just a client. I'm not the DM. So you should be able to write stuff that everyone sees. So that's maybe, I noticed earlier that you're a slight version behind. You didn't update. So maybe that has something to do with it.
It might. I don't update my fantasy grounds very often because, well, it's been, what, 3-4 months since I was able to get to a coffee shop and actually have something resembling stable internet.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I had issues. Luckily, it was on my tablet that I haven't been using often because that I don't use for gaming much because it has cooling issues. But I tried to update it on my internet and then I could not open Fantasy Grounds after it failed. So I'm a little wary about updating on my internet if I don't have to.
Yep, I hear you. All right, so you know which way the obelisk, or you're pretty confident to which way the obelisk was oriented when it was originally standing. We have the directions figured out. All we need now is for the party to decide which way you're going.
I'm thinking
I don't know if you cut out or not. Alex. I'm being
No, I was just kind of babbling and thinking out loud, and then my train of thought just kind of derailed, and I lost it completely.
No, that's like a standard
okay.
mental pause.
in chat, we did suggest, almost agree that Turbocar would be where we wanted to head.
That's where I'm being pulled. Yeah, Trabacar. I like.
So that would be the northwest path toward the shiny.
Towards the shiny.
Redrith agrees. Go to the shiny.
So.
Follow the shiny.
Yes, follow the pretty shinies. Oops, wrong character.
All right. So now that we finally have a direction in mind, and let's see. You guys definitely spent a little bit of time figuring that out, so I'm advancing the clock.
Let's see.
Gates so basically heading out at about that time.
So according to our map clipping, guys, that would kind of, I could speculate that puts us at the gates of Sewell. At the map clipping, Tribacar is to the northwest. What is it? Pazar is to the northeast. That actually puts Pazar closer to us than Tribacar, depending if that map clipping is correct.
Yeah.
And to scale, it might be a drawing rather than a map.
Right. And depending on our
or rather,
orientation,
it might be more drawing than map. So we can't be sure. But that would put us around there where it says Gates of Sewell.
That's just puts another cog in the machine. Looking at that, trying to guess where we are, Pazar is actually closer. So, but maybe I just go with my gut and still say, yeah, let's go towards the shiny. Seems like that's where we're being led. So,
not necessarily, but
well,
the other thing is before Kayla will let you guys take us off trail, we do have to have a system for attempting to mark our trail.
I mean, I could just spray up things. Mark my territory.
Yeah, Pat, what that does us is if you're unconscious or a sandstorm comes through and scours it clean.
I'll start with the opposite then. That going nowhere with a sandstorm. And oh God, the land must hate me.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the shiny.
All right. Well, at this point, I'm moving you guys northwest.
Okay.
Because that's pretty much what I've been hearing more consistently. And by the time, let's see, just before you kind of get to the hills, you do notice it's still definitely before even twilight. It is well after midnight. But you hear a sharp, shrill chatter coming across the sand from low down. And looking around to find the sand, you notice that there's basically a gopher that seems to keep popping his head up out of the sand. He seems to be watching you guys and going, and then disappearing underneath the sand. And then maybe about 5 minutes later, as you're walking along, someone else will notice him off to the other side, and he does basically about the same thing, chatters off a little bit, draws your attention, and then just disappears, like a meerkat or a groundhog. And he seems
kind of like like in considering, like he's annoyed with us for disturbing him?
I guess that's possible, but it also seems conceivable that he might just be making some kind of shouting an alert to any companions he might have in the area.
Okay.
It'd be nice if we had a druid with speak with animals.
That could be amazingly helpful, wouldn't it?
Hey, we can't all be perfect animal lovers, okay? Just to let you know, all I'm hearing is the Caddyshack theme tune playing every time this creature pops up.
So no Harry Potter, but you've seen Caddyshack. Okay, fair enough.
Hell yeah!
I'm
Classic.
all right. Don't nobody what about me.
Hey, I know good movies when I see them.
Hey, Murray's a legend as far as I'm concerned.
His cameo in Zombieland is great.
So you're definitely getting a chance to get a feel for all the different wildlife around here, that's for sure. But other than that, you pretty much make it to just about...
Can you see out the window?
what window?
The livestock outside the window.
Oh, no. They're traveling in the desert right now.
No, I know. I'm getting one for you. Oh, I thought you were referring to the livestock in this house.
So, by the time dawn arrives, you are pretty much just between the opening or the gap between where those two hills are. And actually provides a nice little bit of shade from the sun for a bit. But once again, for maybe about a half an hour, as the sun crosses the horizon, you can see the reflection of the light coming from behind the hill again. Let's see, where's my mask mode? Mask mode at this point, we should be able to see this much more.
Ooh, shiny.
And the path that you're following seems to continue to lead you northwest up towards there. Actually, you can probably see a little bit more where it looks like maybe about another 10, 20 miles out. It appears that the valley turns northward about that point. And that brings you to we're now on the last day of the month. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning, ready to make camp. And actually, things are relatively uneventful for the next day or two. So you set camp here, nothing really happens that night. You set, or that day, you set out that night. And this time, as the sun rises the following day, just trying to throw in some notes so I don't forget where I am and where we're at. Where are we at? Well, actually, before I jump ahead to this, so this is pretty much where you're making camp. All right. I'm not worried about that yet. I can close that out. All right. So here, as you're getting close and walking in between the craggy low hills of broken and baked stone jut upwards at weird angles, casting tortured shadows across themselves. Even more oppressive than the sand dunes, if that can be possible, these areas of blasted rock show centuries of scouring by countless sandstorms. Higher than the desert dunes, whatever water they conceal is evaporated at once. Only the shadows promise relief from the blazing sun. The advantage here is that you actually do get to travel a little faster through here because a lot of the sand has been blown away and you're walking a little bit more on terra firma. And it's kind of a trade-off because you can, as you get closer to the edges of the hills, the ground is firmer, but the heat reflecting off of the dark rock is almost unbearable. So it's kind of like finding
Right.
a little balance between improving speed but not getting too close to the heat source. Definitely, you can tell though for sure that trying to travel through these, though it might be possible, will be extremely slow and incredibly hot.
What is the current status of the shiny?
Well, again all right, so on the last day of the month, you're camped on just at the gap in between the two of them, and so you set camp. You see the sun, the reflection from there. When you wake up that night or get ready to camp out, again you see a reflection coming from over there. You travel most of the night that night, and you're doing better speed, so you get up to here about dawn. And when you do get to here and decide to set up camp, at this point, a lot more becomes visible. So first of all, yes, even from this distance, you can see about 10 miles north of here, there is a huge glowy pyramid in the middle of the sand there.
Okay.
Give me a second. Not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Polished stone walls, stone of the pyramid walls reflect the sunlight, allowing it to act as a landmark and a beacon even before you can been able to determine its shape. In the midst of the vast desert stands the last relic of a dead civilization. From the broken foundations of a once mighty city, a great pyramid rises, its polished stone walls gleaming in the sunlight like the facets of a gigantic jewel. It is oriented with the compass points, a wall surrounding it. Before it, on the south, a temple appears to stand guard, the only break in the wall. And again, this is still about 10 miles distance, yet you are able to see that much detail from here.
It must be huge.
Yes. And so given your current distance factor, you figure you're probably at least a good 6 hours journey away from it.
And approximately what time of day is this, or night?
It is now dawn again, so yeah, let me update.
Okay.
And with that being said, I don't know what you have prepared, but my daughter just peeled paint off the new house we moved into 2 weeks ago that we don't own yet, and peed her pants, and I'm about spent as far as switching my attention between everything. So if this is a good stopping point for anybody else, it would be for me.
I would agree. However, I would like to share one more thing that will actually happen tonight for you guys, which isn't really any, well, yeah, all right. It is going to take a little while. So yeah, you will encounter something between here and the pyramid. It doesn't necessarily mean it has to be combat oriented, but there will be some role playing involved for sure.
Cool.
So, expect that to happen.
And-
We resume next
Okay.
week.
Give me a quick, let me just tell Matt a quick rundown. So what we did, Matt, was we took the obelisk and we tried to orient it back to where, oh, did we lose? Maybe that's just Matt coming back in. Matt, are you there?
And he doesn't have audio yet.
Okay.
Has video, but not audio, strangely enough.
Oh, that's kind of standard.
If you can hear me, all we did was reorient the obelisk back to what we thought its original stance was, and it kind of gave us directions to the northeast was Pazar on the translation. Northwest is Tribakar with the keeper of the pyramid to the northwest. So we went northwest, and we're about a 6-hour walk from the pyramid at this current point, and it is now daytime, so we're probably going to rest.
But yeah, you can now see it. And clearly as the day goes on, you can see that the sun reflects very brilliantly off of it only when it's close to the horizon, so at dawn and dusk. And it doesn't seem to matter what direction you're approaching it from, the reflection is pretty intense.
Okay.
And with that, we will call it a shorter session. Probably a good idea because I've had a couple of people over here waiting for my attention as well. And oh, I got my new license plates in. Lucky me.
Cool.
I got back on just in time.
Yeah, you can hear. All right. How much did you hear?
Just that it was a bright reflection from any direction.
Yeah.
I'll call you back and fill you in. How about that?
All right, cool.
Yeah, there's not that much detail, but yeah, it looks like we're finally going to get into some meat of the action with the next session finally. You're looking
Awesome.
at the pyramid.
Awesome.
Awesomeness is
Hell yeah.
all right. I'll see y'all next week. Or no, 2 weeks.
Next week or 2 weeks, right?
2 weeks. Yep.
2 weeks.
All right, so that'll
All
be
right.
session 9, and just to confirm quick, that is going to be August 8th. Perfect.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.